said, we're going to move into a different area for the next couple of weeks. We want to talk about distractions. Distractions.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
But I wanted to look at this word distractions a little bit differently. Basically just kind of breaking the word down. So we know dis is in the front, which is basically to remove or to stop or to take away. But then there's track or traction that's after that. And so really a distraction is taken away from some traction. So it basically says we had some traction on something and then we got dissed from it. We got disconnected, or we got removed, or we got pulled away from whatever we previously had traction in. Yeah, I'm sure you've read Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. And it talks about, brethren, seeing that we are compassed about with such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every sin and weight that does so easily beset us. Distractions obviously can be weights. Distractions obviously can be sins in our lives. I think that's important because, of course, right now I'm doing something, and even though hands-free, which is legal, could we really say I'm driving without a distraction? Since this is being recorded while I'm driving. And so in this moment, the traction should be the driving, and I should be focused on driving. And that is what I am getting a grip in. That is what I'm moving in. But then, of course, recording this adds the dis to the traction. And obviously, I'm not as focused on driving as I should be, so I am therefore distracted. You think about the important areas in our life to have traction. It's important in our lives to have traction, obviously, as a Christian. It's important in our lives to have traction as a single person or as a spouse, of course, as a parent. But then think about that. What kind of things distract us as a Christian? What kind of things distract us in our single life when we're just trying to be our best self, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, doing what we can for social improvement, doing what we can to keep our physical health where it needs to be, being the best spouse that we can be as well. And we have traction in there. What are some things to come in and distract us, take away the traction of being a good spouse, a good husband, or a good wife to our loved one? Those things are critically important for us to kind of think through. Something as simple as, like we said, our health. And we have good traction on what we eat and taking care of our body, or when we find out a diagnosis that we do what we need to do, whether it's taking our medication. What distracts us or keeps us from having that traction in that? Well, what I like about Hebrews is Hebrews says it's not only sinful things, but it's also weights. And those weights there is just talking about things that shift our priority in the moment. And so right now, I've made a conscious choice to say making this video is taking some priority over driving. And so I'm technically a distracted driver. Sometimes you can weigh those things out and they make sense. And then other times, of course, in our lives, they don't make sense. And that is spiritual discernment, something that all of us need to know what to do, when, how, where, with whom. And so as we kind of unpack distractions in these coming weeks, I pray first of all that you really think through what has traction in your life, because everything that has traction in your life, in my life right now, may not be good. And so there may be some things that we have traction in that we actually do need to be distracted from because they're not the right thing. So we really want to look at this holistically, dig a little bit further into the Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. And of course, we're also going to look at some other passages that will illuminate this a little bit further. Distractions. What do I have traction in? I'm going to close out with these 3 questions as well for you to marinate on. Number one, how would you define distraction? Number two, have you ever been distracted? And number three, what do you do once you find yourself to be distracted to get back on course, or to no longer be distracted, or to have traction? Prayerfully, this is kind of getting us rolling in this road to deal with distractions. Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and